10.5 feet tall and 9 feet wide, Las Meninas is magisterial both in stature and meaning. Although it does not depict a typical scene, the sheer size and immaculate attention to detail enhance the significance of the elements within the painting. As the subject of discourse by scholars of diverse studies and times, Las Meninas has engendered major discussions on single elements within the painting, and the identification and interpretation of representation, as well as enabled further repercussions and replications of the work into modern times. Historian Jonathan Brown wrote that in 1724, Antonio Palomino was able to identify virtually every person in the picture. In the center foreground is the young Infanta Margarita Maria, attended by two maids of honor, or meninas. At the left is Maria Agustina Sarmiento, who offers a drink of water in an earthenware cup to the princess. The other menina is Isabel de Velasco. In the right corner are the dwarfs Maria Barbola and Nicolas Pertusato. The middle ground is occupied by a chaperone, Marcela de Ulloa, who is accompanied by an unidentified bodyguard. And behind them, in the open door, is José de Nieto, the aposentador of the queen's household. On the rear wall, a mirror reflects the images of the king and queen, Philip IV, and Mariana of Austria. Having noted this, the characters and their actions are not pertinent to the discovery of the meaning of Las Meninas. The huge canvas, which we see only the back of, the mirror which reflects an image of the King Philip IV and Queen Mariana of Austria, and especially the two paintings above the mirror, offer more concrete points of interpretation. Which were those back wall paintings, you may ask? Antonio Palomino first identified them as copies of Peter Paul Rubens' paintings of the stories from Ovid's Metamorphoses, Minerva punishing Arachne, and Apollo's victory over Marsyas. These two paintings were not chosen at random. Velazquez selected them because they reinforced the underlying meanings of Las Meninas. The painting on the left depicts a weaving competition between Arachne and Minerva. This competition started after Arachne claimed that she was a better weaver than Minerva. After losing the competition, Arachne is transformed into a spider. The painting to the right depicts a similar story of a competition with a god. In this fable, Pan challenged Apollo to a musical duel. After the duel, Pan admits defeat to Apollo. King Midas, however, claims that Pan's piece was superior. As punishment for this, King Midas has his ears replaced with the ears of a donkey. It is clear that both of these paintings share a number of similarities. Both feature respected forms of artistic expression, like music and weaving, and both act as strong warning tales of the dangers of hubris. There are multiple understandings as to why Velazquez would include these paintings. One is that Velazquez was attempting to compare the artistic value of painting to the already established liberal arts depicted in the paintings. Another interpretation is that Velazquez might have felt that he finally achieved what both Pan and Arachne were attempting, creating art that exceeded mortality and entered the realm of the divine. Despite their ambiguous representation, the contrast between these paintings and other paintings in Las Meninas, which are unrecognizable, enhances the meaning. Madeline Milner Carr says that Velazquez brought into his conception of his dignity as an artist these two images of punishment for temerity towards the divine power. These two subjects also serve the purpose of equating painting, which is associated with tapestry design, which had a secure place among the fine arts. The two pictures on the wall can thus be understood as a commentary on the main subject, a commentary that stemmed from guilty feelings that the artist might have been unable to acknowledge, even to himself. And so, just as these paintings are blurry in Las Meninas, their inclusion by Velazquez is also blurry, indicating more uncertainty and ambiguity within Velazquez's mind as a painter and person in relation to King Philip IV and the royal court. Robert Wicks argues that an overall independent interpretation of Las Meninas would lead to a one-sidedness in discussions of the work, which is why he relates the inclusion of the fable of Arachne in Las Meninas and the Spinners, one of Velazquez's later paintings, and makes the inclusion of this myth more than accidental. He states, "The portrayal of mythological themes in Las Meninas walls can be read as criticizing the king, either in his artistic taste or in his lack of tolerance for artistic ambition." Emily Umberger claims that Velazquez alludes to the solution to the specific problems of portraiture in the mirror image, and the Arachne painting arguing that Las Meninas depicts a casual but highly calculated arrangement of real people, and thereby raises naturalistic portraiture and genre painting to the level of learned history. The problems of portraiture lie in depicting truth versus decorum in painting, as seen in Minerva punishing Arachne, specifically when representing a figure of high esteem such as King Philip IV. Most scholars relate the ideals of gods and mortals to the relationship between royalty and their counterparts. Some have even hypothesized that the paintings in the background serve as parallel commentary about the relationship between Diego Velazquez and King Philip IV. As we mentioned before, and as Emily Umberger states, the myths represent the punishment of the artist who infringes on due respect, and the punishment of the judge who chooses an inferior artist. When looking at Diego Velazquez's painting repertoire, we can chart the history of the relationship through his paintings of the king. Time and time again, Velazquez paints the king with honesty while maintaining accurate portrayal of respect and dignity that was necessary for royal depiction. In turn, King Philip IV appointed Velazquez as aposentador of his chambers, which is physically represented by the key of Velazquez's hip in Las Meninas. Additionally, the proximity of Velazquez's head to the images of the king and queen in the mirror also symbolized the close relationship and next to royal status Velazquez held. Now, while multiple scholars have said that the myths warn of angering the gods, Carr highlights some intricacies within the palace and Arachne myth that develops the representation as a hidden meaning of the overthrow of the monarch. Historian Svetlana Alpers collaterally mentions that Velazquez's main goal was to critique the hierarchy and challenge the rules of the aristocracy. If one were to believe such claims that Velazquez was critiquing the system he was settled in, then the inclusion of the background paintings brings in another layer of foreshadowing of Velazquez's main claim and agenda. The inclusion of the myths in the background of Las Meninas would have been a natural decision to make in the 17th century, as the myths themselves and the values they represent would have been very influential and present in everyday societal life. Throughout history, storytelling of fables and myths have served as guides and reminders of societal norms and ideals. Myths serve as moral models for communities, and over time they may change through the discourse of the period, and likewise establish new modes of thought. Robert Wicks considered how discourse shaped discussion of Las Meninas and appreciated the idea of future discovery through new lenses of knowledge. Since its creation, Las Meninas has been replicated, reinterpreted, and dissected repeatedly by other artists in attempts to understand and indulge in Velazquez's masterpiece. The most famous interpretations being the series of 58 paintings produced by Picasso are only a few of the replications that have been produced in the 20th century alone. And, with new versions of Las Meninas being created with pop culture references in the 21st century, there seems to be no signs of future discovery slowing down.